It's about 37 minutes,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it took about it was like a 6-month process.
Mhm.
We've been, yeah.
You
It's
you
just because
know
trying to get everybody's schedules, everybody's working and kids and all this stuff. But yeah, it really turned out great. We're really proud of it. It's about
Sorry, hold on. Sorry, hold on.
wow, it's pretty powerful just
There
in
we
that
go.
little piece. You touched on something I was gonna ask about. Is there who's susceptible to this? I mean, is there foster care, or is there anybody? Anybody? I mean, anybody's at risk of being trafficked. I'm curious about that. Yeah, just talk about that. Yeah.
So anybody's at risk to be trafficked. But there are certain vulnerabilities that make somebody more susceptible. Coming from foster care, coming from a single parent household where maybe like you have a parent that there's a parent that was always working, and so there's a lot of ample time for the child. Um, Anybody who comes from experiencing sexual abuse or physical abuse, any kind of abuse or traumas in their childhood, um, alcohol, I mean, drug addictions, incarceration can be an intersection. Foster care, definitely. Children that are in the foster care system are high risk, and brown and black girls are high risk, and
Yeah.
boys. You know,
Mm.
people of color.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is that there's a very famous story of a young woman who got caught up with a drug dealer, right? You might even know the story. Her name is Kimber Smith. Kimber Smith, very
Mm.
famous story. And every time we go over this with the young people, because the last thing I want is for a young woman to get caught up with a dude who's dealing dope, and she ends up in prison for 24 years without a possibility of parole. Is that they look at her home and then you're like, well, how could this happen to her? Because she's got two parents, and she went to you know, she's a debutante, and she ended up at Hampton University, and you'd be like, well, you know, there's no way this should have happened to her, and and we tell them it can happen to anybody, right? So um and that's why I asked that. I mean, there are things that might make it more problematic, but I know the girls in the hood get caught up with these dudes, and girls from the, and two-parent homes, and live up on the hill get caught up with them. That's why I asked you. It's what have you seen? You've seen women from all different lifestyles involved. Uh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all different backgrounds, but the number one thing that sticks out is childhood trauma. Sexual abuse is a big one.
Okay, okay. Oh,
Wow.
wow. Mm.
Yeah. We serve like survivors, like Lisa was saying, from all walks of life. We actually there were survivors we served or that I knew of in the past that came from a really good home. But like Lisa mentioned, when somebody's working all the time, like the mom was present, but the father was in the military all the time. So she didn't have that father figure, that, a stable father figure. So she got lured through relationships. Hmm.
I know that when because we know Kim very, very well, and we know the story, and when she talks about why she got caught up,
Hmm.
the one thing she talks about, she didn't feel good about herself. I mean, I don't use the phrase "little self-esteem," but you could categorize it. She didn't feel good about herself. She thought all the girls were prettier than her, right? She didn't feel confident, and she feel this guy was going to bring the confidence to her, and he didn't. And so, she talks about you got to feel good about yourself. And I know with young women, that's the first thing, I mean, and it's funny. Since you weren't pretty, I look at that girl, you're pretty as hell, right? I tell her, girl, you're not big. But I know the competition, the this, that's all in there. It's all in the mix here. And I'm assuming anybody can feel that way, whether they come from a two-parent home, because society will make you feel like you're not, you're always comparing. You're always comparing. And so I really wanted your take on that. Did the other person join?
Mm-mm.
She didn't join?
No.
Okay, she didn't join.
Well, I always think the word that, and it was said in the documentary, which was beautiful, and I was so happy to see that you were able to premiere it at the college. I just thought that was phenomenal. So great job. You're just doing amazing work. Um, but the word grooming, and it just makes me think about how these predators know how to look at you and see something's a little whatever, and they prey on on those things, right? And then groom you, and it's a process. It takes months, and then yeah, and then I thought that was a really important word because it makes me think about how, as people or young people, they need to think about who they are and who their identity is and yeah, in order to uh, I don't know, not in order to not get involved or try to stay away from that, knowing when something doesn't feel right. And I think what's really important is knowing that there are so many people out there who can help them. So learning about Love Never Fails, knowing that there's a house, a bed that they can go to. I think you said 48. I love that. Knowing that there's a place where people can go and talk about their experiences either in person and online is so important. So thank you to all of you for giving our young people these safe spaces to make the changes when these predators, just targeted them and hurt them.
And you guys, everybody knows me. I'm a prevention person. I want to put myself out of business. I
Yeah.
don't like rescuing brothers and sisters, but I don't like, I don't like, I mean, yeah, I'm a preventive medicine guy. I don't like being in the, I really do. I mean, I'm a violence prevention guy, and I would love not to have to prevent anything. I'd love to people figure out that violence isn't the answer. And so I'm really interested in that part. And the other part is you got to work with these guys who are doing this. That's then anytime I get into these domestic violence, issues and conversations, and it, we wouldn't have grooming if nobody tried to groom anybody, and so
Right.
these men who we have to have these conversations with men, which I try to do. And say, man, look, no, why are you doing, what is in you? And you're right. I'm going to get against the rich and the powerful and all of that. And so it's just, it's a mess. It's a mess. And
Mhm.
anything that you're doing and can do,
Mhm.
continue to do it to prevent, save, and is it that some people don't get it until it happens to them and their family? Is that you hear that a lot? Is that
Oh yeah.
you know now I
Yeah.
understand. Well, hell, what do you mean? I mean, they're
Well, I
human
think there's
beings.
so many things that make us vulnerable to abuse, period, right? And so many things, right? Academically speaking, is called the social determinants of health, right? So there's housing, social determinants of health, there's mental health, there's food, there's clothing, there's community, there's love, there's protection, familial protection. And when any of those layers of care, medical care, access to education,
Mhm.
many of those layers are not there, it presents a vulnerability.
Mhm.
And so what not only are we dealing with a time where we have 180,000 people unhoused
Mhm.
in California, that just alone, that is now, I'm not even talking about the fentanyl epidemic. I'm not talking about the mental health epidemic that we just went through coming out of COVID. I'm not talking about, all those other things layering in that make your vulnerability. Then you have a predator or
Mhm.
predatory group of people, person, whatever, that are taking advantage of the vulnerable state that a person is in. And it's this 1-2 formula that is what creates exploitation and lure somebody in. I've seen police officers' children be lured in. I've seen judges' children be lured in. I've seen people from very affluent homes. Why? Because their parents are always working and they're not paying attention. So what are they missing? Community, love, protection, care. They have money, they have the brand name, they have all that, but they don't have the family core connectivity. So here comes somebody saying, I could provide that for you. I could do this for you. I could help you. I could love you. And what do they come in? They come in, and there's a whole tactic, a whole strategy, like you said, with the grooming. They come in, they get you dependent on them. Then they start to slowly brainwash you into believing you're not worth anything. You're ugly. You have nothing to offer. You'll never get out of this. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. And look at what you've done. Or even better, the empowered message, and exploiters come with different strategies for different people. Some have low self-esteem. So all I got to do is tell you, baby, I'm going to get you where you need to go. I'm going to give you a dream. I'm going to sell you a dream. I'm going to sell you the end game. And that one is going to be tricked that way. But other people are like this. Oh, well, you're already sleeping with everybody. Why? Because you've been sexually abused by your dad or your uncle all your life. So your self-esteem is low from that. Hey, you're already sleeping with everybody. You might as well get paid. You about that money. You gonna be a boss lady. You own it. You making your own money. So they're gonna sell you that story. So that they're always looking for different tracks and different strategies, which are really just sales pitches, right? They're selling you the dream, selling you the vision, coercing you, right? And that's what the exploiters are so good at doing. And then, of course, we already talked about the demand is the next layer, which is like, hey, I don't care. You're not an object. You're not a human. You don't matter. All you are is a dumping ground for my sexual urges. And they don't care what it's going to do to that person. They don't care that they're going to have all kinds of mental illness. They're going to have disassociation. They're going to feel bad, about a lot of things, triggered for years. They're going to need recovery and care. And they don't care, because they're just thinking about their own needs.
Ooh, that's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. And again, I mean, I work with girls. I always, when the club started, it was gonna be boys. That was gonna be boys. I don't do boys because the boys were shooting and killing, robbing, stealing, and one of the young ladies in my junior high school class came and said, "No, I want to be there," and I said, okay, and it was the best thing I ever did because, family, right? Family. And there's nothing wrong with, single sex programs. I always say that, girls incorporate any of those programs, there's nothing wrong with that. However, being able to have these conversations as a family, there's time, we have to, but it's just wonderful. And, just without judgment again. And one of the rules we teach them is love will never lead you to danger. We're always talking about danger. What is danger? And sometimes they don't know what danger is. So we have a conversation about what's dangerous. That's our rule. Friends will never lead you to danger. Family will never lead you to danger. It's all about danger. It's just how huge this problem is. I've been to Thailand and it's a mess. I mean, all of those places. We got somebody who joined.
Yes, we just want to say thank you to Elizabeth because I know you have to log off, and we will definitely keep up with all that you're doing and share. So thank you so much. And Lisa, if you have to go too, we understand. Congratulations on the documentary.
Yeah, we'll do
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
And the book. Let's not forget the book.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, definitely, you have to stay on this stuff. I know we're gonna do this again.
Yes.
I always say I could do domestic violence and this kind of thing every week because it's a problem that's there. But so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Take care.
Have a good night.
Keep up the good work. Francesca, thanks for joining. You run you're executive director of the Freedom Forward Heights Center located in San Francisco. You could go ahead and tell everybody about your program and the services you provide.
Absolutely. Good evening. How are you? Hey, Vanessa, how are you? So good to see you. So yes, I run Freedom Forward. We have the Heights Center that stands for Helping Young People Elevate. And it is a multi-service drop-in center for young people. And it's truly made for and by young people with the voices of survivors and those with lived experiences that really came together and did a community needs assessment saying, what do young people in San Francisco need who have been system impacted, justice involved, and also, coming from street life economy, what do they need most? And what they really said is they needed a space that was low barrier, that was easy to access, and that had co-located services and resources under one roof, so they didn't have to go all around the city. Not only to, waste their time and their energy to go all over city, but to really go into all of these different places to really trauma dump just to get their basic needs met. And so that is how Hype Center came to be. And so we do this all under the context of we are looking to prevent commercial sexual exploitation of young folks in the city of San Francisco and all over the Bay Area. And so the Hype Center is one of our initiatives in which we do this. And so it's co-location of services and resources under one roof. We're located at Potrero Hill, so at Potrero and 15th in San Francisco. And we have mental health services. We have alternative modalities of healing. So we bring in culturally relevant and indigenous aspects of healing, where it's, Reiki work, breath work, trauma-informed yoga, sound bowl healing. We try to really incorporate somatic healing into the work. We also have legal services. We have reproductive health rights services. We have housing, which is probably one of our biggest services that's accessed. And then on site, we also have shower, laundry, and a clothing boutique. And the clothing boutique has clothes, makeup, hygiene products. It has new parent products. It has really anything a young person could need. They can come in and access it for free. And it's for 14 to 24-year-olds. And so really, we're trying to do all of this under, like I said, one roof, and to ensure that young people, when they walk in the door, they are treated with dignity and respect as a birthright, that it's not some type of transactional interaction that is needed. They don't have to perform anything. They don't have to, do anything in order to get their basic needs met. And we do all this, like I said, in order to prevent commercial sexual exploitation, because we do understand that there are the vulnerabilities and the intersections of the vulnerabilities that lead to exploitation. I know, Vanessa, you were touching upon that earlier. And that's one of the biggest tactics, is to really prey on the vulnerabilities of young people and to provide them with these, amenities, with these, makeup and clothing, and treating them, really well in the beginning. But then in the end, it's, becomes a very transactional, very dangerous relationship. And so we really try to get in front of it.
I want to ask you something. Do you ever get to have conversation with men? I mean, you go in there. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have ever been in a forum where you're like, look, guy, this is what I mean, and like just talk to them and say, look, let me, I don't think they're unaware, but has that ever happened? Does that happen often? Does that happen often, Tara? Does that happen where you go and say, this is what's going on? This is what, or with fathers or with anybody? Does that happen? Have you ever done?
Yeah, so we serve
Any of
gender
you?
expression.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we try to get to prevention on both sides. So it's both, both those that can be exploited and those that could be the exploiter. And so it's really about, the full spectrum of prevention work that we do. And so, we're open to all gender expressions. So yeah, we've absolutely held those conversations with young men.
Yeah, and actually we have a program that we're working on in San Francisco with San Francisco Neighborhood. It's a diversion program for men, and men that are buying sex are required to attend a diversion class that is held by a survivor leader, one of our partners, and Operation Give Back. And they they're survivors, and they speak to the men about what they're doing, the implication of what they're doing. And that, I think, can be very powerful. We know Breaking the Chains in Fresno has a really great program where they do the same thing, where it's really trying to get into the minds of the men, kind of help them understand the impact of their behaviors. And then for young men, I always want to tell people this: when studies have been done about young people that are exploiters and young people that are exploited, we find that there is a direct correlation in the data, in that most of the time, with many of them, I should say, they are exploiters and exploited out of the same vulnerabilities, meaning that when you look at the stats of an exploiter, they come from families where there was high domestic violence, where there was poverty, where there was a lack of maybe a corruption, where somebody was telling them, this is how you make your money. This is how we get down in this family or in this neighborhood, right? So that kind of teaching of a young man, we shouldn't be surprised that that's how he turns out. And similarly, we shouldn't be surprised that a young lady is like, you know, and this is what we are about. And then don't let me get into the music reinforcing it
And
and the media
pornography and that
reinforcing
they said all that they sit and watch all day. No,
it all day.
we're up against it. You know, it's interesting when you talk about confinement. I had this drug dealer call the show one time. He did. I mean, big guy. I was my bread and butter for years. And he was, you know, I'm just supplying the demand, you know, I mean, I got to make my money and, you know, she don't want, I mean, they don't want it, they don't have to buy it. And I said, man, you know, it was crack cocaine was his thing. I said, man, you know, crack cocaine is this force stronger than motherhood. You know, what you talking about? I said, man, look, there's been a lot of drugs. And I named all the drugs. I said, but man, crack cocaine is the only drug that we've ever seen that what how to put that to prefer the drug over their children.
Right.
Yeah, so I said them. I just said them on the radio. You prefer the drugs over this, man. So well, you destroying motherhood.
Come on.
He was like, damn. I said, you got a mama? I said, you man, I just went that. I mean,
oh yeah.
Then he was like,
think about it.
But I said, women, and this guy saying black women, they've been raising kids since the beginning of the time. You know, I mean, that the most important thing in their lives have been their children. And you are actually destroying motherhood when you saw somebody crack.
Right.
It's like, man, I never thought about it like that. And that's the only reason I'm saying that. And my whole life is getting people to think about stuff, right?
Right.
You know, I'm just planting it, you know.
Yeah, planting the
that's
seed.
why I asked that question about you know, he just said, man, no ever put it to me like that before. So that's these questions with these conversations with the men that are doing it.
There's
who have daughters, who have this, who have that, you know.
Yeah. There's a brother named Darren White. He runs a program called it's called The Game, and the name of his organization is Realize Potential Inc. And he keeps it 100 with the young men in Oakland. And he puts it down. He talks about how the money seems good in the beginning, but with all the turf wars, man, you gonna get shot and killed, or you're gonna end up in the pen. Like, the streets don't lose. And he keeps it real with them like you do. And I think that's what our young men need. They need to be, you know, they need to know that it's not a long-term strategy, you know. It's not gonna and never mind, like you said, killing motherhood, literally killing a person's soul.
You can't put money over people. That's my thing. Material values over people. And it's about power, domination, and control. And I know all of that.
Yeah.
You know, the only person you have control over is you and your values and what you want to put out. But I really want to just thank you for doing the work, because this is it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I just, you know, that's all I can say is
well, for me, I see it, you know, we've seen it in Oakland, but for me, I dropped my daughter off in Vallejo at her school, and going up Sonoma, you said it, Vanessa, that's the Blade. And you see 4 girls out there with everything out, everything. And this is 8 a.m. in the morning. And it's just, you know, it's just mind blowing. And then it's like, how come if I'm seeing this every day, how come the police aren't doing anything to stop it? And then it's like, as a citizen, as a human, as a woman, I think, like, how can I help these women? You know, it's not their choice that they want to be doing this, but it's something that's going on right now. And it's like, how can I help you? How can we help you? Why is this, you know, why is this even being allowed, you know? So I just really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the spaces. Um, Francesca, we were able to visit the Hype Center and it was beautiful. You know, it was just youth, like just made for young people. I wanted to be there. You know, it's like you had all the clothes and the makeup and just giving them these tools to, know that you are a real person, a whole person, and there's people there that can help you. Just some with the physical stuff, with the items, but also with the like the mental health care part of it. So yes, just it's a it's a fight, it's a fight that we have to keep fighting for our young people to continue to succeed.
Okay. Wow. Just want to thank you. Just want to thank you. Want to thank you. Want to thank you. 'Cause
Yes.
if you reach that place where you know who you are, and feel confident about who you are, and that whole inner beauty thing is really true.
Mhm.
I actually
ahead,
wanted to
Cynthia.
say something. Way
Yes.
past when you were talking about the self-esteem stuff.
Yeah.
Like I had got called ugly a lot growing up by like whether it was my cousins or people at school or like random people, like, speaking on the side. Like I was just constantly like belittled with my look. Like I don't know if you guys know Ant Farm, but I was crying over like China saying how like beautiful she is and why can't I be pretty? I was wishing on a dandelion to look like another girl in my school. Like I was absolutely
No.
desperate to not be me. And then so with that, like I just became someone who absolutely went out to seek validation
Mm.
and smart me. I put validation with like if I'm not pretty enough unless you want to sleep with me.
Mm.
And now that I'm older, I know
Mhm.
men will sleep with anything.
Oh,
And
Lord.
I mean, I wish I had
Yeah.
that realization
Right.
years prior because
Right.
like I wouldn't have done all of that.
Right.
But regardless, yeah, that's having no self-esteem. And then also like I had told my trafficker, like, no one ever sticks with me because I've never been in a relationship. And like that's something I began to crave too, because like everyone in high school has
Mhm.
boyfriends. Everyone in high school has boyfriends. And I'm like, how do I not have a boyfriend? And like I told him that, and I think that's like my grand mistake is I told him no one ever sticks out with me. And so he stuck around for me. And I'm like, oh wow, he must be the one, like stupidly.
Mm.
And I mean naively also, but like he actually made my self-esteem way worse. Like at one point we were living in an apartment and then like he would have the other girls that he was trafficking to living there too. And he was ruder to me, he was more abusive to me, he belittled me more, and then like watching him be nicer to the girls that just got there or girls that like he didn't know, and I was someone who had been with him for longer. I'd seen him, at a really terrible state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to disrespect me and belittle me and just so much. At one point I didn't even want to look in a mirror and I became so skinny and just so much about myself I just hated. But then like, the program absolutely helped with self-esteem.
Good.
The Lord helped with self-esteem.
Yes.
And like now I'm thankful that I don't have like low self-esteem. Yeah, I do have some image issues, but nothing that makes me want to go seek out validation from another guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't.
It's a journey, right?
That's
And
a journey.
yeah, and there's always room for like redemption, right? We don't need to look at our past and think that that's all who we are, like there's so much more. And for whatever reason, like
Yeah,
that
self-doubt is
happened.
hard.
Yeah.
Self-doubt is hard.
Yeah.
And I talk to the guys and the girls, but and I know what I represent to a lot. These girls, I know I do. Only know I do be his father and a teacher. And like my
Yeah.
thing is, baby, you great. Yeah, I'm
That
telling
is
them all the
right.
time.
Yes.
You know what? You're the greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
Like, you're so cool. I said, well, yeah, but there's only one you. And I know
Yes.
I'm battling all this other stuff, all these images and all these other guys be saying, and then I tell them, if somebody mess with you, baby, I'll take care of you. But as I said all the time, and they know it.
Yeah.
You call me. I ain't letting nobody. I call.
Yeah.
Look, I will come at 2:00 in the morning, and there's little things like that
Yeah.
that counteract. And a lot of them ain't even getting this at home, right? At all. That counteract all this negativity that's being put into them. And if somebody's willing to stand up for you and tell you, but they got to hear it over and over and over again because the music is horrible. It's garbage, right? You watch these shows on TV, they're all garbage. Every housewife show or whatever, and Love and Hip Hop. And I mean, that's all this stuff is after him all the time, and right. So and then if I do this, it ain't over there. That's the thing. It's not over there where they saying it is, right? And so it's a battle. It really is a battle.
It's all fake
Once
too.
they get there,
Yeah.
once
All
they
that
get
stuff
there,
is fake too. I mean, they're over there
ooh,
telling
baby,
you
once
that
you get
it's,
there,
oh, you're gonna be
it's
in
your
love
Obama time.
and
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
you are up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I love you for doing it, because people don't. That's why it's me. They don't care. They just don't get. There's nothing more valuable than a human life. They don't get that. They don't get that. They don't get that. And this is a world that's into power, domination, and control, and materialism. And unfortunately, right now we got a DT who is like taking it to the next level. So it's gonna be even tougher now, because he don't care about human beings at all. So that's why we that do have to look out for each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm just it's just keep doing. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We love you. And if anybody mess with you, let me know. Let me know. Let me know.
that's right.
No, we ain't going out like that. Any last words you got for us? And thank you for that time when you said that. We're gonna let you go and get on work. Francesca, thank you for joining us. I know you got a couple little ones, so you gotta, it's tough to get in. And then we'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll definitely do it again. We gotta keep it on the front burner, and yeah. Okay.
I'll shout out my mom. She's watching right now.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
What's up, man? What's up? Little baby right here.
Yeah.
Finding the king in her. That's
Yes.
find the
Yes.
king in you. Find something
Yes.
that you're passionate about doing, and because you want things to change begins with you. That's what we tell the young people.
That's true. If you're not changing, you're choosing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that was Dr. King. I need something to change, and so I got to do something about it. Right. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna say good night. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Even with the tech, it was great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.